In the last episode, we watched how Stephan'S hamster pups grow. They changed very quickly and turned into these fluffy and cute little balls within just 2 weeks. To shoot this video, we had to transform the Hamsterarium into a wild jungle, and in order to create such conditions, the whole family had to be moved to a comfortable cage with a separate bedroom and air conditioning. Alright guys, pack your stuff up and let's move. Wake up guys, the cab's here. It took us just 1 minute to move all 4 hamsters and they seemed to like their new apartment. I decided to use a protective glove to move Stephan in case his instincts kicked in and he bit me. The hamsters immediately began exploring their new home and separate bedrooms, but most of all, they liked the new running wheel. There were too many kids who wanted to run, and they didn't realize that the wheel would work only when all the hamsters ran in one direction. Half a minute later, they understood that they had to work as a team, and the wheel started spinning. By the way, we decided to name the hamsters after the Ninja Turtles: Leonardo, Michelangelo, Fernando and Raphael. It was time to clean up the Hamsterarium and remove all the trash. Look what the hamsters did to the cardboard floor. We brought a bucket of soil from the vegetable garden and filled the Hamsterarium almost completely. For the top layer, we used soil with fertilizers, essential for the growth of plants that would be food for our herd of hamsters. We saturated the ground with water thoroughly. Before planting, store-bought seeds need to be soaked in water for 3 days, until they sprout a little. To avoid damaging the sprouts, we had to place each seed carefully in the ground with the help of tweezers. After that, we covered them with soil and sprinkled some more water. In 3 days, the sprouts appeared from under the ground and started to grow rapidly. By the end of the week, the Hamsterarium turned into a real jungle. The plant expert inspected it carefully and approved the beginning of the experiment. In the meantime, the life of the hamster family was in full swing in the cages, and in order not to stress them with a sudden transfer to the jungle, we decided to detach the bedroom. After that, we went to the hardware store and bought a flexible sewer pipe with the diameter of 5 centimeters, which should serve as a tunnel for the cage to the Hamsterarium. The Ninja Turtles also traveled through the sewer pipes. While we were setting everything up, the passage was plugged with a napkin, so that the hamsters didn't get into the tunnel and fall on the other side. Still, they tried their best to break through the tunnel's cover. We dug a small hollow in the corner of the Hamsterarium and put a cover over it, thus creating a cozy entrance to the cave they would dig. When everything was ready, Leonardo breached the entrance to the tunnel and went in. This small flashlight allowed us to see through the pipe. Now we could see him moving inside. He went all the way to the exit. He looked out, got scared and rushed back. After all, he has never seen a natural environment before. But in a minute he came back and took his first steps in the uncharted territory. First of all, Leonardo inspected the bungalow inside and out. After that, he tasted one of the green sticks and realized it was edible. Overjoyed, he ran to his siblings in the cage to inform them of the new location, and returned with Fernando, who was shocked to find himself in a new uncharted world. They immediately began to explore the Hamsterarium and eat the gifts of the gods growing in it. However, it didn't last long. Leonardo and Raphael teamed up and decided to dig a huge mine under a cover of sticks. They immediately set about digging. These little hamsters had never done so in such wild conditions before, so they didn't move very fast. Besides, Raphael hardly helped his brother and just pushed him from the behind to make him dig faster. Later, Fernando joined them, but it looked like he was just getting in the way. After a few minutes, the hamsters burrowed so deep that I couldn't see it from the surface. It made me worry about him, as a layer of soil could cut off the air supply, but he probably knew what he was doing and had enough air for now, since he kept going deeper. Even when everyone returned to the cage to get some sleep, Raphael continued digging the tunnel. Sometime later, the other family members discovered that the pup was missing and initiated a search and rescue operation led by Stephan. At that moment, the hamster who was underground decided to come out and started digging towards the exit. Because of the turmoil on the surface, it turned out that Stephan and the other pups blocked the passage with their bodies. On the contrary, trampled the way out with their feet without realizing it. The kid got offended and started digging deeper into the Hamsterarium. After a while, the little hamster disappeared from sight. It was evident that the kid was a much better miner than Stephan, who seemingly only ever spoiled everything and even broke the roof of the bungalow. It took Federico 10 minutes to gather all his strength and rapidly make his way into the tunnel. He managed to burrow all the way down to the dungeon in about 3 minutes, and then the rest of the hamsters and even Stephan followed him. The cage remained absolutely empty. There was not a single hamster at the surface. I could detect some movement in the dungeon only using my flashlight. And then, I suddenly noticed someone's nose from the opposite side of the Hamsterarium. It appeared that they had burrowed all the way through the Hamsterarium. Unbelievable! Cookie is impressed with their mine-digging skills. We installed a cardboard fence for the night to keep the hamsters from escaping and turned on a not-so-hidden camera to keep an eye on them. While I was sleeping, the hamsters crawled from under the ground and started shoveling the soil out of the tunnels to expand them and have more room inside. This also allowed them to create a large pile of soil in the corner of the Hamsterarium, which they could use to escape if they wanted to, but luckily they didn't. The only hamster I found in the cage in the morning was Stephan, while all the kids were nowhere to be seen. Look at the network of tunnels they've created under the surface of the Hamsterarium. Still, there was no sign of their presence. Where could they go? After waiting for a few more hours, I got nervous and decided to start an evacuation operation. After all, I couldn't see them, and I was afraid that something bad happened to them underground. According to my estimates, they were supposed to be somewhere in this area, so I began to remove the ground carefully in search of the pups. Even when the pit I dug was fairly deep, I didn't find anyone. Oh, the ground seemed to have fallen down. We've reached the tunnel. Anybody home? Yes, here are the kids. Luckily, they were all alive, but not all of them were happy to leave the cave. The first hamster I managed to catch was Michelangelo. Look how dirty and funny he was. Leonardo was also extracted without any problem. Fernando and Raphael didn't hurry to leave the cave and hid in the tunnel. They've stayed inside, minding their own business. Only when they got hungry in the evening did I manage to lure them out with a pea sprout. When all the hamsters were rescued, we could fill in the pit in the terrarium, restore the plants, and make a final test for the hamsters in which they would turn into predators. We bought these small and cute mealworms at the pet store for the hamsters to learn how to hunt. Let's see how Leonardo coped with it. He immediately grabbed the worm, but it dodged and tried to escape. Leonardo didn't get confused, made another attack, firmly grasped the prey in his paws and ate it like a waffle stick. Let's proceed with these huge armored worms, which are several times bigger than the ordinary ones. Michelangelo looked like he was ready to fight this huge snake and immediately pounced on it. The worm struck the hamster sharply with its tail, broke free and fled. The hamster couldn't break through the worm's thick armor and fix it in his paws. A few seconds later, he realized that in order to defeat the snake, he needed to decapitate it. That was the only way for him to immobilize the prey and enjoy a delicious snack. All tests were successfully passed. The hamsters have grown up and are looking for new loving owners. Write in the comments if you want to adopt one of them. Don't forget to indicate which one you want and why I should give him to you. Oh, and Raphael has already been booked by one of the subscribers. He mentioned that he has a huge Hamsterarium with a lizard and a python where they can live together.